guys, I'm at the airport in Nashville and just wanted to share with you because this has happened so many times over the last couple of days. A woman about my age, a black woman, came up and wanted to tell me how scared she is for herself, her family, and our country if Kamala Harris is elected. I've been here in Tennessee, I've been in Mississippi, I've been in Texas, and I've been in Atlanta over the last week. The number of black people who've come up to me and said exactly that is astounding. And their message is, what do they think? We all vote the same and aren't smart enough to think for ourselves, aren't smart enough to bring an ID to vote? You guys, it's so sad, but it's good that there's a groundswell for this. And I just wanted everybody out there, people who look like me and people who don't, to know you are not alone. And you got to do something about that fear. You can't just sit quietly, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, and do not allow them to take you for granted because of the color of your skin. So we got a fight on our hands, and I just hope and pray that you guys get out there and vote to do the right thing. Don't vote on personality or feelings, vote on policy and what's best for our country. So you're not alone.
If begging for attention was a person, you're looking at it right there on your screen, and you just heard what they said in the 1 minute that they've been talking, which was a bunch of babbling nonsense that nobody believes. So I came across this video on X. I keep telling y'all, I find some of the most interesting things on that platform, as tacky as it is ever since Elon took it over. And you have Sage Mammy Steele, a person in a name that I haven't mentioned on my channel in quite some time, and for good reason. You know, you try to keep, infestation away, but sometimes it pops up every now and then and you got to deal with it, and she's one of those. So Sage Steele made this video right here where she's in the airport and she claims that this black woman came up to her and was saying how she was scared of the possibility of Kamala Harris being elected president and how things will turn out if she's elected. Basically saying I'm scared, I might have to flee, I might have to leave, and all types of stuff like that. And when I'm listening to Sage Steele say all of this, I'm sitting there saying to myself, Sage, did an actual woman come up to you and actually say that? Did a black woman specifically come up to you and say that? And I know why she said a black woman, because again, as we've reiterated over time, that when it comes to the pandering that the Democrats tend to do is usually cater to black women. So I know why she said that. She's not slick by any measure. And anybody who saw this video, because she posted it up on her X account, and everybody, for the most, a good 90% of the people that was under there commenting said that this woman is lying. And I am inclined to believe that she's lying as well, because this is Sage Steele we're talking about right here. I'm surprised she even knew how to say the word black, considering that she doesn't acknowledge the black side of her at all. This woman has always peddled herself as a quote-unquote woman of color, or a mixed race person, or a biracial person. Like, this woman stays running away from her blackness. I still remember that scathing letter she wrote to it was a letter, it was like a love letter to her mother, but the scathing part she wrote in there, for the little bit that she did mention, was about her father, because she is the product of a black father and a white mother. And I will never forget that. That was when I knew I was done with her, and that was years ago. This was probably in the early stages of my original channel. That's how long ago it was when I first came across that letter. Maybe even slightly before, I'm not entirely sure. But she said that some black woman came up to her and told her that she's scared and all this, that, and the third. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, Sage Steele, how many black people do you actually know? Like, in real life. And I'm not talking about a celebrity or anybody that you've interviewed and all that. I'm talking about, how many black people does this woman hang out with? Really? How many? Because we know she goes out of her way to be with them folks as much as she possibly can, no matter what. Remember, this is the same woman that let a white man feel and pet her hair like she was at a zoo or something like that, and she was smiling with all 32 teeth. I mean, leaned over the desk to let him do it. Like, if she could have went any further, she probably would have laid out sprawled across that desk to do it if she couldn't get all the way across. Like, that was just so embarrassing, but she's an embarrassment. And she's had some very anti-black things to say about black people, specifically foundational black Americans, over the years. The woman is just a mammy. That's how she got her name. And so I do not believe that a black woman came up to her just randomly and told her that, because how many black people really know who Sage Steele is? Let's be real with ourselves here. Outside of us and maybe people who are in sports, because that's where I don't know if she's still there now, but that's where she got her start, was in sports, like journalism. Outside of that, how many black people really know Sage Steele like that? To just come up to her, of all people, and just say, Sage, I don't like where this election is going, or the possibility of Kamala Harris becoming president. I'm scared for my life. I might have to leave. What black woman do y'all think is literally running up to Sage Steele, of all people, to tell her something that random? That just seems like such a random, off-the-wall conversation to have. And of all people, with Sage Steele? Really? This is also a syndrome, I believe, of thinking that you are more important than you are, for someone to just run up to her like she is like very well known, and to tell and spill their guts out like that to someone, just a complete stranger. Are you sure, Sage? Are you sure the person that came up to you and spoke to you did not mistake you for somebody else? Also, Sage Steele, is this person actually a real person, or someone, or one of the many voices that are floating around in your head? Or is it someone that lives in them curls? Because I really do not believe that some random black woman came up to you and aired out her grievances with Kamala Harris. I do not believe that for a second. If that happened, Rachel Dolezal is actually a black woman. And like I said, people was clowning Sage under her comments in her thread under the video. Y'all should have seen the stuff that they were saying. They was going in on her, saying, okay, stop the cat. Sage, you are lying. That did not happen. All this, that, and the third. The only people that believed her are her so-called fans. And you can't take them seriously because they don't think logically either. So, yeah, Sage just put that video out there. I guess this was her way of trying to garner attention. And it fell flat. The only reason people reposted it or are speaking on it like I am right now is to clown her. To be quite honest with you. Like, the fact that she even thought that this was going to go far or further than she did, no. And like I said, it was very, very strategic of her to mention a black woman came up to her and told her this. That doesn't even sound like a conversation a black woman would just randomly have. I don't know about y'all, like, to the black women in the chat. I know y'all have some issues with Kamala Harris. We've seen the comments. Would you just randomly, if you knew who Sage Steele was or was aware of who Sage Steele was and her political leanings and all of that, would you go up to her not at an airport, but just anywhere, and tell her the issues you have with Kamala Harris? Like, why would you, like, what would be the point? Like, Sage Steele, who is she to go and ask her a question like that? It makes no sense. But again, this is, in my opinion, Sage Steele thinking she's more important than she is. The black community as a collective doesn't rock with Sage like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, back when Sage first started out, I'm sure there was a lot of men that thought she looked attractive, because Sage Steele is not a bad looking woman. I'll be completely honest with you. She's not. But her mindset makes her very, very unattractive. That's what does it. It's her mindset. How she thinks about us as a people is another one. So, Sage, I nor the people that were commenting under this video believe your claim that some random black woman came up to you and started saying that she didn't like Kamala Harris and that she's living in fear or whatever nonsense that she said. Also, a thing of it is, as much attention as Sage Steele likes, if this random black woman, like you claim to say, came up to you and said this, why didn't you, I don't say, have an audio recording of this person saying it, or a recording, like as a video recording of this person saying, like, who is this woman? Really? You could have asked her or said, because notice, and this is where Sage slipped up, in my opinion. She could have said, or ask this black woman, and I put that in quotations, can can I have a recording of you saying this, or for proof that you actually said this, or can I get a video with you or what have you, sort of like an interview, like a little thing like that. She didn't, the person didn't even have to be on camera. If they wanted to remain anonymous, you could have pointed the camera downwards or had it pointed on you, and the person could have been speaking to you off camera. She didn't even have that. She just has her account of talking to some black woman. So the fact that Sage didn't even do that lets me know this encounter that she had with this quote unquote black woman did not happen.